Okay. I think that means that I am live now. Hello everybody. Welcome to my live stream for my live stream Q&A for February. I've been doing this every month for the last 4 months. This is an hour when y'all get to ask me whatever questions you have on your mind about flow arts or anything else for that matter. And I will do my best to answer them. Yeah. As you are dropping me questions in the chat, one thing to bear in mind is that, hi Dizzy. One thing to bear in mind is that you can leave me a tip with the super chat. That is that button that looks like a little square with a $sign in it. That money comes directly to me, so it would be much appreciated. And anybody who leaves me a super chat, I will bump your question up in the queue so that it gets answered sooner. Because generally speaking, I tend to be very, very long-winded in my answers overall, so sometimes it can be helpful to be able to jump the queue on that. Or if you don't care about jumping the queue, it just helps out the channel. So, Rokas, I'm not even going to try. Okay, so if the pronunciation rules are the same between Lithuanian and Czech, that would be Rokas Vyšniauskas. So maybe we'll see. Saying hello, glad to see you. Love from Lithuanian Flow Arts community. Thank you. Greetings from Washington, D.C. Thank you for joining me tonight. Jillian says, hi, I can hear and see you. Outstanding. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. Cool. So I'm honestly just going to let people start rolling in here and ask whatever questions they have in their mind. And while that happens, I'm honestly just going to take a few minutes to flow out, because why the heck not? I have not gotten a chance really to do that today. So why not do it while I'm waiting for people to come and join us? So once again, if you got questions, please drop them in the chat. Let me know what you got on your mind. I will do my best to answer them. I should really have music on while I'm doing this. I don't know if it'll come through on the speakers here. Yeah, so please drop me those questions in the chat, and I will put on a song for me to flow to, and when I'm done flowing, I will check and see what's been asked and answer some questions there. Oh, interesting. What's playing? I do not know. It is just what iTunes thought I wanted to listen to. Let me kick up the volume just a little bit here.
Oh
right, let's see what popped up in the chat while I was flowing there. Stop playing. All right, so Rokas says, thank you for your work and tutorials. I have been taking your methods to teach other students and they are brilliant. Thank you. Just wanted to say a big thank you. You are the teacher of Poi, Flow, and mechanics. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot, Rokas. Dizzy's giving me heart eyes there. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Nobody had any questions while I was doing all that? Oh, goodness. Well, maybe people have questions now. Please drop them in the chat. And do remember, God, I've got to stop doing pirouettes in my socks on this carpet because I've been tearing holes in the balls of my socks. And I now have just like a handful of sets that that don't have holes in them, and I can feel I've been wearing through the soles of this set of socks. So, whoops. Yeah. So send me your questions, and I will answer them to the best of my capacity. Yeah. Once again, Super Chat supports the channel, so don't be shy about using that. That is the button with the square and the $ inside of it. So Jillian asks, oh, now the questions are rolling in, great. Jillian asks, how do you do a reverse weave behind your back? So here's the thing, the instructions that I give on how to do a behind the back weave, if you're looking real carefully, relative to me, this is a reverse weave. Like, when I start the poi on my sides, I swear that the poi are going reverse. So when I get into it, sure feels to me like it's a reverse weave. The challenge is, of course, that relative to being behind me, it looks like it's a forwards weave. It looks identical to this motion right here. So one of those things to understand is that the rules of what's a reverse versus forwards weave when we go behind our backs kind of get turned inside out. So I'm pretty sure the question you're actually asking is, how do you do a weave behind the back that starts from a place where it feels like the poi are spinning forwards on your sides? Because that does wind up resembling, hang on, what we think of as being a reverse weave when we bring it around in front of us. So the steps behind this actually are pretty close to the exact same steps that we would use for getting the other behind the back weave. So like normally when we start learning the behind the back weave, we start with the poi spinning forwards and we walk around in a circle until we can get our arm wrapped around behind us and the poi spinning reverse on our sides. We switch up that convention. Now we start with the poi spinning reverse on our side and we walk around and try to get to a point where we can get the poi spinning forwards on the side of us with our arm wrapped around behind our back. We want to learn how to do this not just with the right hand, but also with the left hand, like so. And just like we do when we're working on it going the other direction, we are trying to do this in such a way where like there's a point at which the, whoops, that was the wrong direction. There's a point at which we kind of have to flip the orientation of our wrist as we're going around, and we have to get comfortable hanging out with our hand behind our back like this, the poi seeming like it's spinning forwards relative to us. Once you get that down, the next step is from the poi spinning forward. I'm messing myself up here. No, poi spinning reverse on your side. You work on, oh my goodness. See, this is starting to mess with my head now too. Yeah, there we go. So, nope. Yes, there we go. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, so with the poi starting off, going forwards on your side, you want to try and get down tic-tacs, going behind your back like this. You want to try and get that down with each hand. Ugh. This one's really obnoxious, I'm not going to lie. I do not like the way this one feels. And then once you've got that down, you work on getting down your tic-tacs or your 2-beat weaves going behind your back. So when we start from poi going reverse and work on our 2-beat weaves, the hand that starts it is the hand that goes under. Now the hand that starts it is the hand that goes over. So like that. So if my left hand is starting it off, that means my left hand is going to be on top. If my right hand starts it off, whoops, that means my right hand winds up on top, like so. So you want to be able to get down, having either hand on top as you're working your way through this here. And then you go through the pattern of just like we do with a reverse weave where we're going under, over, back, under, over, back. You do the same thing behind your back where you are going under, over, back, under, over, back, under, over, back, under, over, back. With your right hand, same thing with your left, thinking under, over, back, under, over, back, under, over, back. What do I mean by under, over, back? It means where your hand is going relative to your other hand. So when it switches sides, it starts off going underneath your hand, and then over your hand, and then back. Under, over, back, under, over, back. Again, we have under, over, under, over, back, under, over, back, like so. Once you got that down with both hands, you can start to work on getting down the full weave. And generally speaking, it's easy. The best way to do this is not to just jump into it like I just did, but to kind of think, okay, I'm going to do right hand under, over, back. So we do under, over, back, and then I'm going to do left hand under, over, back. So we do, goodness, under, over, back. And then as you go back and forth between those, eventually you get to a point where you can just keep the thing going. Why do people always want to learn behind the back tricks? They hurt. They suck. I hate doing them. Anyhow, that's how you do the other behind the back weave there, Jillian. Cool. So, Yulan Irendil Villamarzo, how to do 5-beat weaves. Okay. So, 5-beat weaves. I personally think the best way to do 5-beat weaves is to work on just like adding an extra beat on each side of your body before bringing them together. So when we do 3-beat weaves, we're essentially working inside of a place where we have the left hand cross over the right, and then the right hand cross over the left. We're just putting them back to back with each other, right? So when we do a 5-beat weave, what we're doing is we're twisting our arms around each other. So rather than the left hand going over the right, we have the left hand going on top of the right, and then the right curling back around under it to lead back over to the other side of your body. So rather than the left going on top to lead you over to the right hand side, or the right going on top to lead you over to the left hand side, you have the right hand reaching from underneath to carry you over to the right, and you have the left hand reaching from underneath to carry over to the left. You can practice this by just doing it one side at a time. So we wrap them around and come back. We wrap them around and come back. You're really kind of like wrapping your wrists around each other such that the underhand is curling all the way over to be on top of the other one. That's what takes you over. So you want to practice switching your timing around so that it's the right hand that leads back over to the right hand side. Curl your wrists around each other. Do that a bunch of times. and then you work on it on your right side, where it'll be the left hand curling around, whoops, underneath your right hand, so that you curl them around enough so that the left hand winds up on top, and that takes you back over to the left. So we try left hand leads, left hand leads, left hand leads, and then we can switch to right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. Or you can do the same one a few times in a row. So 1, 2, 3, and then switch. 1, 2, 3, and then switch, and try and do 1, 2, and switch. 1, 2, and then switch, and just do 1 and switch, and 1 and switch. And when you get to the point where you're just doing 1 and switch, 1 and switch, 1 and switch, congratulations, you are doing a 5-beat weave. Nice. Coolio. What else we got in here? Rokas asks, have you been to Lithuania? I have not. I have not. I have, the furthest east in Europe I've ever been is the Czech Republic. It'd be fun to go visit that area, though. My family is Finnish, so I would love to go visit Finland and Estonia, and of course Lithuania is right next to Estonia, so that'd be a good old time. So nope, never been. It'd be fun to go, I think, though. It'd be fun to go. Yulan asked about 5-beat weaves again. Okay, well, you got your explanation, sir. Jillian says, thank you for explaining this. I really appreciate it. You're welcome. Sonic Hill says, hi, Drex. What advice would you give to somebody who wants their Poi fire reignited? Oh, my God. Well, I hope they... the first thing I would probably say is please share that advice with me, because definitely things have been tough lately. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I don't. So the thing that usually carries me through with anything related to, like, oh, you know, I want the fire reignited, or, you know, I want more motivation, or what have you, is I don't trust in motivation. Motivation is fickle. I trust in discipline. When you make a regular appointment to practice and show up every single time, like whether it's daily or every other day or once a week or what have you, and you just make that, you make a date with yourself and you always keep that date. What I tend to find is that ultimately the fulfillment comes from the practice. You're no longer looking for, like, oh, you know, I haven't had a new trick in so long, or, you know, oh, I feel like my flow is really stale, or anything like that. You just come to appreciate the practice itself as an end unto itself. And then the question of motivation and, like, the fire to spin, I think kind of, it almost disappears in a way, because you realize that the question is not how to make it stimulating again. The question is, how do you look at the practice that you have and create a relationship with that? And I think you're more or less asking the same question of, like, you know, what happens when you find yourself on a plateau or something like that. And the answer is that, look, you have to learn to love the plateau. No matter what skill you learn in life, the majority of the time that you spend engaging in that skill, you're going to be on a plateau. It's just a given. There's no way around it. And so you have to learn to appreciate the plateau and see the plateau as an opportunity to deepen your learning and polish the things you learned in your last creative burst. And yeah, just over time, that becomes the end unto itself, is the practice. I hope I'm answering the question properly there. If you are literally asking me how to save an old set of fire poi or something like that, please let me know if I'm taking this off in like direct free association mode or what have you. But I think that's the question you're asking. And honestly, my answer is create a regular practice routine and hold on to it no matter what. And eventually the practice becomes the end unto itself. And you get fulfillment out of the practice. Just showing up and doing it is all you need to do in order to feel that dopamine hit of, hey, I accomplished something, So that would be what I would say. Rokas is now asking, will you come to Europe for some Poi meetings? I don't know. It is expensive for me to get to Europe. And so whenever I've gone to a Poi meetup, it tends to be that I have somebody helping me out and subsidizing my travel. I don't see an opportunity for me to do that in Europe anytime soon, but who knows? Maybe there will be some festival in Europe that will really want me to come and will be happy to spring to help me make the trip over there. I would really appreciate that. I really would. But yeah, I think otherwise it's going to be pretty difficult for me to make it over, unfortunately. I will say that my plan was actually to do the European Juggling Convention in 2020 because it was being held in Finland. And I wanted to visit Finland. I wanted to reconnect with the land of my ancestors. And as we all know, COVID got in the way. And then it did the year after. And so EJC in Finland wound up happening completely online. So if there's another EJC in Finland, I would be more likely to prioritize that. But otherwise, yeah, I'm almost certainly going to need somebody to help subsidize my travel, unfortunately. Them's the breaks. Shrimp says, Sonic, make challenges out of spinning. Try using one hand or only spinning one direction or on one plane, new tricks, listen to new music. So this might be unpopular, but I'm going to push back on this because fundamentally you're still seeking the thing that I think Sonic Hill is, which is how do I get my dopamine fix here? How do I get something new and novel? How do I get something that is going to feel new to me? And we live in a world of constant distractions and constant dopamine hits from all corners. And the problem with that is that it desensitizes us to stimulation. And so the quest there is not to find new ways of getting stimulation, of getting those dopamine hits. The quest is to be able to find a way to love something without constantly getting those dopamine hits. Because, spoilers, no matter what challenges you give yourself, eventually you're going to run out of them and you're going to be just left with you and the prop and no new stimulus. So if you can't make your peace with that on a long enough timeline, you're not going to stick with it. So I think I don't think it's giving yourself new challenges, that's fine to do, but I think the real work is in finding how to appreciate something without the constant stimulation. Because you'll come up with challenges over time, sure, but the majority of time that you spend engaging in a skill, and more specifically poi spinning, you're going to have to do it without that constant stimulation. So learning to appreciate it even without it, that's the real challenge there. And without that, again, just it's not a question of if, it's a question of when you run out of steam there and decide to move on to something else that does give you, like, and this is the way I see a lot of people kind of is to basically jump from new thing to new thing, because every time you try a new thing, you get that dopamine hit. And so you wind up with people who have like, they have kind of a basic familiarity with a lot of things, but they never get really in depth on any one thing. And I think that's a shame. I think that there's a lot of benefit in working towards something on a deep level. And to do that, you have to be willing to make your peace with it not always being stimulating. So, Yulen says, thank you for explaining this. I really appreciate it. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Shrimp asks, any tips on changing directions while doing the Mercedes on wall plane? Changing directions? You mean switching the direction of the Mercedes? Sure-ish. So the way I always try to teach the Mercedes is I try and have people learn it one segment at a time, going back and forth between points of it. So like you've got, you know, one diagonal segment, you've got another horizontal segment, you've got this diagonal segment right here, and you can start putting together pairs of these points and go back and forth along them. And that, in my mind, is a good way to build up the Mercedes. And it also means that whenever you get to one of those corners, you can pretty much automatically just switch the direction of it whenever you want to. Like so. So yeah, if you train by building up the Mercedes segment by segment in that way, it's pretty easy to switch directions on the fly. The thing to bear in mind is, like, whether it's here, here, or here, you're looking for the corners of that triangle in the triquetra. And when you hit one of those corners, you can switch your direction pretty easily. The key is to look out for the corners. That's where you can make the change. That's where you can make the change. Coolio. Again, friends, just as a reminder, if you want to bump your question up in the queue, you can leave a super chat, which also comes directly to me and supports the channel. So, and also you can just support the channel if you'd like to. I'm totally amenable to all that, but that's a good way to get your question bumped up in the queue. Omar Morales. Hey, Omar, how you doing, man? When is the next time you're coming to Columbus? Good question. I'm really hoping to, well, if all goes according to plan, I'm hoping to come back in March, and if that doesn't happen, then the plan will be to come back probably in May. I want to come back sooner, I really do, but things have been challenging on my end, I'm afraid. But yeah, as soon as I can is the real answer to that question. Yeah. Eileen says, how many hours a day do you dedicate to practice lessons editing? Oh my God. So let's talk about today, shall we? So my day started off with meditation, running, and stretching. And I got done with all of that at about 10 a.m. I posted some videos online. These are my whatchamajigget, sponsored videos from Poi for the month, and that took me like an hour, I want to say. I did some budgeting for the coming month. That took us to noon, and let's see here. Ate lunch, got back to work at 1 o'clock. I had my first private lesson of the day at 2. It went to 3. No, excuse me. My first private lesson of the day was at 3. I went out and flowed for 40 minutes before I had to teach my first private lesson. Came back in. So first private lesson, I had an hour between that and my second private lesson. And then I had all of 40 minutes of downtime before setting up for this. No, that's a lie. I had to set up within 20 minutes, but I had 40 minutes in between my last private lesson getting out and doing this. So I would really count that as basically me starting work at 10 a.m., having a lunch break that was like maybe 30, 40 minutes. And I'm going to get done with this call at 8. So yeah, what is that? Like 10-hour day? Is that right? 10 hours? Yeah, because I got started at 10 a.m., so 10-hour day. Yay! The answer to how many hours a day I spend practicing is not nearly as many as I would like. Yeah, I only got in like 40 minutes today overall because there were so many other things going on. But yeah, I spend a lot of time doing this, is the long and short of it. And it depends upon the day, and it depends upon the workload. Today was pretty exceptional. I should have been done after 8 hours, but then there was this to do. So yeah, a lot is the short answer. Sonic Hill says, that's exactly what I was asking, hence why I put fire in quotes. Awesome. Glad to give you a solid answer there then. Rokas is asking, is there any chance you will do a workshop with Nick Woolsey in the future? I mean, maybe. There are some pretty big challenges to that though. So for those of you who don't know, Nick Woolsey can't teach, well, he can come to the United States, but like, so Nick Woolsey got caught coming across the border to teach in the United States in the mid-2000s, and because of that, he didn't have a work permit, and they deported him, and it was something like 5 years before he could re-enter the United States. And now, since he's been deported once already, they're gonna be looking real carefully at the circumstances under which he's crossing the border. So he would need a work permit to teach in the United States, and as of right now, hey, thank you for the super chat, Eileen. Yay! Let me know if you have a question that you would like answered, and I will bump it up in the queue. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So we would need to have a work permit for Nick in order to come down and teach workshops in the United States, and it is questionable as to whether or not the amount of money he could make off of teaching workshops down here in the United States would offset the cost of him getting that work permit to come to teach here. So that would mean another possibility would be me going up to Canada and teaching with him. And actually, one time that was the plan. There was going to be a year that I was going to go up and teach at Leviathan with him. And it kind of broke down over time, partially because Leviathan is really, really remote. It's incredibly hard to get to. And I just, in breaking down what it was going to take to get me there, and also too, like, there was basically, like, the system was set up such that, like, in promoting it, I was meant to sell a certain number of tickets in order to make it work for both of us. And there got to be a point at which the numbers just didn't work out anymore. And so I wound up backing out of that one. And I don't know, I'm curious to see how his workshops are going to work out this year. Given where the Flow community is right now, both financially and in terms of participation, I'm a little skeptical of in-person events right now, just in general. So we'll see what happens, and maybe this is a successful year for Nick, and maybe he and I can try doing something either next year or the year after. But for right now, that seems like too big a financial risk to me. But maybe there might be a possibility of doing something like that in the future. And then, of course, like maybe somewhere else in the world, maybe Europe, as people may be asking for. Again, the challenge is the money. I cannot afford to take a loss on going and teaching somewhere. And the further and further it is away from home, the higher the number gets that we've got to kind of cancel out there. And I think anywhere other than the United States or Canada, any place that isn't like immediately accessible to either him or I, that number probably becomes insurmountable unless there is some external force at play. Like we were going to do a workshop tour and go through multiple cities, or there was a sponsor for the tour, some company that would like have their logo in the workshop tour that would offset costs. But I don't see those pieces lining up right now. Yeah, which sucks because I think he's a cool guy. I would like to teach with him. I met him the one and only time I've taught in Vancouver. He showed up to, it was at a place called Mad Skills, and it was really fun meeting him. We had really awesome talks, and he showed up to a couple of my workshops, which, let me tell you, was nerve-wracking as all get out. Oh my God, Nick Woolsey walks into your class, and all of a sudden you're just kind of like, this is not my A game. No. But he was really, really nice. We like each other as people. I think it'd be fun to teach with him. But yeah, I mean, bottom line is you know, there are things that I do for fun, and I can't afford to go teach a set of workshops in another country without knowing that I'm not going to take a loss on it. So that's really what it boils down to. Omar, hello again, asks, what's Finnish food like? Can you cook it? There are some Finnish dishes that I can cook, including one that I just recently discovered is actually a Sami dish that my family, I used to eat growing up, and it's a kind of stew called bidos, and it's originally it's supposed to be reindeer and carrots, and I want to say there's potatoes and barley in it too. And yeah, Mom used to make that when we were growing up, really, really hearty. She would usually make that up with a type of Finnish bread called rieska, which is, I want to say it's oat-based. And we used to, you know, it doesn't really rise, it's not leavened. So you like cut it up into slices and you put honey on it and you eat that with the bidos, and it's delicious. The Finnish food that I do cook every single year, though, is every year for Christmas I bake joulutorttu. The Finnish, the literal translation is Christmas tart. They're like, they have 4 points to them. There's a jelly that you put in the middle of it. They are delightful. Look up photos online of Finnish tarts. That's what I make every December for Christmas. So yeah, there's some other stuff that my mom used to make when I was growing up. Like, so I found out in most of Finland, there's a type of bread called pulla, which I'm trying to remember the term that we used for it, because our family is from the north part of Finland in Sapmi, and there's a different term. There's apparently a different term for it up there. Oh, what's the name of it? It's a cardamom flavored bread. Oh, I'm so mad at myself for forgetting what this is called. It'll come back to me, or maybe I can look it up as I'm saying, and as I'm on here, and save some face here. Please hold. Nisu, that's it. We call it nisu. I've never baked it, but I like it a lot. It's very tasty. I highly recommend. There's actually a Finnish bakery here in DC that I'll go down during the holiday season and pick up a loaf of nisu and try out their juhlatorttu, which, if I do say so myself, my family's version of juhlatorttu is much better. But we can quibble on that and put them head to head sometime. Yeah, so those are some examples of Finnish food that I ate growing up, and some that I can still cook. I've never made bidos myself. We would substitute either beef or elk for the reindeer portion of it, but yeah, I know how to make it. So if I wanted to, I could definitely make it up. But yeah, those are some good examples of Finnish food. Thanks for the question, Omar. Shrim says, thanks. Roka says, what is your opinion about old school fire flow? I mean, I like a lot of it. There's a gentleman who has been posting regularly in Poi chat lately, Jake Loves Art, that is actually like went back and picked out some of his favorite videos from the old school era. There's some Yuta in there. There's some Zan Moore. And I think that there's some awesome stuff in those videos. I definitely have a bias on this, but I personally, you know what I'm gonna do? If I'm not up and running around the room, I'm gonna turn that off because that looks like it's really obnoxious. But yeah, whatchamajigget. So one thing I really appreciate about the old school flow people is that, like, just as performers, they did such an amazing job of playing around with volume and levels. And we really lost that at one point in the Poi world. Like, as soon as the tech tree just became the dominant posture for everybody, I feel like we kind of lost a lot of those old dynamics in the old style of fire flow, and I miss it. As you can see, I'm trying to bring back elements of it. Yeah, the video this guy posted of Yuta was just phenomenal. I feel like when it comes to Poi dance, Nick and Yuta really like crack the code in a lot of ways, and in trying to figure out aspects of Poi dance myself, it's amazing how often I will like come to a point where I'm just like, oh my God, I just made a breakthrough and I'm feeling really proud of myself. And then I'll go watch an old Yuta or Nick video. I'm just like, oh, they already knew how to do this stuff. Of course they did. Of course they did. So there's a lot of great gems back in there for sure. Yeah, so I love all that. You know, I reference Dervishly Yours all the time just because, like, you know, not just because flowers really just changed the way that everybody spends Poi, but also it's a really remarkable performance. Like, Nick basically invents all the conventions of modern Poi performance in that video. We're still living in that epoch in so many ways. So yeah, I love the old fire flow stuff. Yeah, for sure. Jillian asks, how do you do a Buzzsaw fountain? Or excuse me, I'm going to say it the way I normally would, fountain. There was a really funny moment several years ago when I was at a friend's house, and for some reason we were talking about my videos, and we watched one of them. And one of the guys who was there, who I had never met before, he kind of turns to me, he's like, why is your accent different in your videos? And I had another conversation about that quite recently, and so there are times when I like catch myself doing it now, where it's just like, you would never say fountain in your normal life. It would always be fountain to you. And so there are times when I'm just like, dude, really? Anyway, so Buzzsaw fountain. Because there's a glottal stop in it if you're from Colorado. So Buzzsaw fountain 101. Start off with a forwards buzzsaw over on your stage right. Then you do a reverse buzzsaw over on your stage left. Now you have to get back and forth between them. How do you do that? I'm so glad you asked. From the forwards buzzsaw, your left hand is going to reach down and around, and it's going to reach out and over to your stage left side. You're going to keep your poi spinning split time, same direction, with your hands off to either side. Now your right hand is going to come around and join the left hand and create a reverse buzzsaw. Now your right hand is going to take off and return back over to your right side. Again, you're going to hang out with your poi spinning split time, same direction here in wall plane. And then your left hand is going to come around and join it in buzzsaw. So we have left hand goes left, right hand goes right, left, right hand goes right, left hand goes right. Now, the next step is we want to try and narrow up those gaps. So think left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, like so. And already you're starting to see elements of it appear. Now, the next piece of this is that we have to kind of narrow up those gaps between the hands moving back and forth here. So try and hold the hands closer together as you're going to either side, like so. And when you can keep that pretty consistent, congratulations, that is a buzzsaw fountain, or fountain if you prefer. Also does need to be said, realize comparatively recently that when you're performing this buzzsaw fountain, both of the poi are performing 3-petal in-spin flowers. There is a way to do this so that you do two-petal in-spin flowers. It goes a lot faster. I feel like it looks a lot wonkier too, because one of the benefits of doing 3-petal in-spin flowers as you're going around here is that it feels kind of balanced and symmetrical. So I have my moments where I have a recognizable buzzsaw on either side of my body. And if I remember how to do this right, yeah, so if I do this as a pair of 2-petal in-spin flowers, I basically lose that moment where I can resolve to a full buzzsaw on the left side of my body. I only have a real buzzsaw on my right side. So both are possibilities. The thing we think of as being a buzzsaw fountain definitely is the 3-petal version. So that's probably where you want to start. Yeah. Wiley Hampson. Hello, Wiley. Drex, just wanted to say that I started spinning poi at the start of the year and I have already learned a ton thanks to your videos. Thank you. And thank you, sir. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Eileen asks, if you won $80 million after tax, that is a remarkably specific number, Eileen. I'm wondering if you know something that I don't. If you won $80 million after tax, which that would probably drop it down to closer to 40 million, but still a good number to work with, what would your plan be? Oh my goodness. I mean, probably to invest the vast majority of it, make sure that the money grows. I live in Washington, D.C., so I would definitely buy a house in the city at that point, because that's the only way I'm going to have enough money in the bank to do that. But yeah, the vast majority of it I would invest, make sure that the money grows over time. Maybe create an endowment or something. Yeah, man, I'd have to think about that for a while, because I think it would be good to invest some money in the cultural preservation of Maori Poi. Maybe see about funding some of the schools in New Zealand that teach Maori kids the traditional form of kapa haka, especially with Poi. And also just on a personal level too, I'm Sami, and there are, I'm sure there are some projects back in Sapmi, in Norway and Sweden and Finland to preserve the culture that would be worth investing in. So yeah, those are some things I can think of off the top of my hand. I don't really have like an $80 million plan on the top of my head. Like that's, oh. Okay, here's one thing. Here would be my rock star moment for that. So there is a sculpture studio based in Vietnam called De Clay Studio, and they create these hyper-realistic miniatures, really, really anatomically accurate dinosaurs. I would absolutely buy every single miniature they currently have. Yeah, they're incredibly detailed. They're super scientifically accurate. They're gorgeous. They're beautifully painted. That would be my rock star moment, is to make sure that I had De Clay Studio dinosaurs all over the house. Yeah, that wouldn't eat up the whole 80 million, but I think we can set aside a couple hundred for cool dinosaur models for sure. Wiley Hampson asks, what are your favorite Poi to practice with at home? Same ones I've been using on this live stream. My sock Poi from Sock Poi and Neo Poi. Yeah, the feel of them is fantastic. They're super soft. They're so portable. They fit in my shoulder bag. I take them everywhere with me. They show up beautifully on camera. Literally my only problem with them really is, I mean, I wish the ends were slightly wider so that they'd show up just slightly better on camera. And also too, they're made out of a pretty resilient canvas, but it's not resilient enough. As you might be able to see, I use these very heavily, and I definitely have like worn through a good amount of the material here. I would love a slightly more rugged material for them, but other than that, they're phenomenal and I adore them. Those are the ones that I use for damn near everything. Dizzy is giving me is dead over there laughing at me. I'm guessing that's because I was talking about fountain versus fountain. So that's a while ago now. Rokas is asking, what do you think about bringing back the old school flow pants that were very, you mean the old Jinko jeans? Except for flow artists, that were very wide and used by Nick and other performers back in the day. Would love to hear your opinion about performance outfits. I think those pants work great if you're gonna adopt some really dynamic poses. They're not the right answer for everything though. And you know, that same guy who posted the old videos of Zan and Nick and Yuta in Poi chat, he also posted an old video of me performing where I'm wearing those pants. And I'm wearing them as I'm doing a performance where I'm mostly doing tech trees, and they look awful. Like, they're not good pants for doing tech tree stuff in. So I think it depends upon the application. I think if you're gonna move around a lot, if you're gonna like do some dramatic poses and actually engage your legs, then they're great. Yeah. I still have my set in the closet. I don't think I've pulled those out in probably a good like 6-7 years maybe. Yeah, I mean, they have their purpose. I don't necessarily think that I think of them as like default performance wear. I think honestly that like what you wear in the performance depends upon how you choreographed it. And there are a lot of right answers, and the giant Jinko jean flow pants are not the right answer to all of them, but they are the right answer to some of them. Definitely seeing Yuta flow in them was always a treat. Like that man, just like the way he engages every part of his body and his spinning is just beautiful to behold. Sure, the chef's kiss there, not the blowing a kiss, my bad. Yeah, they have their uses. I honestly, me personally, I would like to see people try a lot more different options for flow performances, because I feel like we've got like the old school flow Jinko jeans pants. We've got people doing either goth or pastel goth stuff. And we've got kind of like festival look wear. And those are like really the only three options that anybody ever chooses for a performance. And I'd just like to see us explore more territory. Like Poi has so much range as a prop. I think it's a shame when we box it in and, you know, when we don't explore the full range of that. So, yeah. Very, very long answer on those on those flow pants. Jillian says, "Thank you for explaining this, and this trick seems so interested to learn." Cool, glad to hear it. Sonic Hill asks, "What's your process on creating one of your monthly videos?" Let me get to your first question first. So it depends. It depends on what the video is. But if it's, so the usual process, so it depends on the video, it depends on the month, but like in broadest strokes, the first thing is generally planning out what the video is going to be. I need to have a topic in mind, and it's not at all rare. I have some tools that I use for keyword research on YouTube to help me figure out what people are searching for. So what I will do is I will take what I want to teach, and I will see if I can find a searchable keyword that I can associate with it. And once I have that in place, I will either create an outline or a script. If it's an outline, what I'll generally do is I set up in my living room. I used to just only have a single camera for setup. I now use both my Sony camera as well as my iPhone 15 Pro. And what I'll do is I'll set up both cameras so I have a close-up camera as well as a wide angle. And I will go through the outline I have for my lesson. Very, very important. Whenever I'm recording, if I blow a line, I snap my finger once. If I get the line, I snap it twice. The reason for this being that when I get the video into my editing program afterwards, I actually don't watch the entire video that I recorded. What I do is I go and I search for the blocks of text that are bookended by the snapping fingers. I can just see that in the audio waveform in the editing program. So I just go through and only take the portions that I know I got the line. Once I have that, I will edit back and forth between the close angle and the far angle. I will do any kind of text or anything like that that I need to include. I'll stick in the title sequence, text overlays, things like that. I usually have to do a little bit of color grading. I export the video, upload the video. At that point, I have to go through the very painful process of creating a thumbnail and writing out the description. Usually, I take the keyword research that I did for the video and I will apply that. When you're doing the keyword research, generally speaking, The app that I use for doing that will also include other associated keywords in it. So I'll build the description around the original keyword and the associated keywords. And then the thumbnail is just straight up sorcery. It's black magic. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. YouTube now has it set up so that you can upload 3 different variations of your thumbnail and you can see which one's the most effective. And after 2 weeks, it'll automatically select the most effective thumbnail at getting clicks as being the default thumbnail. And then it's down to promoting it online. You know, take a segment out to post to Instagram, do postings on Twitter, on Facebook, on Threads, promote the thing, make it available early for my Patreon subscribers, and then set it to publish and see how it did. And once it has published and I see how it performed, I will incorporate that knowledge into the next few videos that I create. So it's kind of an Ouroboros in some ways. I used to produce more content, and the way that I made that worked was that I would batch parts of the production process. So I would plan out and write multiple videos at a time, usually like 2 or 3 at a time. And when I went to go film, I would shoot 2 to 3 videos in a single shoot, which was great because it meant that I always had like a back catalog of content. And generally speaking, that meant that there was like anywhere between like a 2 to 3 week kind of buffer for me. So any video that you saw from me back in 2023 had actually been shot at least 2 weeks before you saw it. So that was really handy because it meant that I was ahead of deadlines. Things have changed a lot for me recently, and I'm more prone to just like, oh, you know, I have this idea and I just get up and shoot it rather than doing a lot of that planning ahead of time. But yeah, that was the process. Monthly Poi videos, as in one of the Flow videos. Oh, shoot. Okay, so that's a different process. I have to find a place that I want to go in DC to shoot the video. I will pick a song. I will select my wardrobe. I will do my best to remember the colors of whatever the background is and select colors that will contrast with it. I'm not always successful in that regard. I pack up my backpack with my camera, my Poi, and my tripod, and of course a Bluetooth speaker. I will go to that locale, I will set up my camera, I will wait until the lighting is ideal, and I will do several takes of the song. Usually what I do is I'll have it running off of my iPhone, and I will set the song to automatically record. I will, you know, move the slider over until there's like 30 seconds left of the song. I will set the camera going, I'll just go put myself in place, and when the song automatically loops, I'll begin the performance. I'll go back and check and see if that was the performance that I wanted. If it's not, I'll do more takes, bring it home. I've talked before about the process of adding trails to my footage. Go through that process. The rest of it's the same. Do keyword research, create the thumbnail, post it, share it, see how it did, and decide what I'm going to do next based upon that data. Yeah, so if that sounds like a lot, that's because it is. So Sonic Hill now asks, also, have you had an opportunity, I assume you mean to say play with the Flow Toys Coral Poi. Have you had an opportunity to work with or play with the Flow Toys Coral Poi? No, I have not. I think it is probably going to be a while before I work with a set of Coral Poi. I think it's going to be a while. I'm not going to go into detail as to why that is, but I suspect it'll be a while, if I ever do. But yes, I have not had... excuse me, no. The answer is I have not had an opportunity to work with the Coral Poi as of yet. Jillian Danskin asks, how do you do atomic crossers? I don't know. I don't actually. Hang on. Okay, so I don't know how to do them horizontal plane versus vertical plane, but I could see doing them vertical plane versus vertical plane. Ooh. Ugh. So this is a normal crosser. If I can, yeah, I guess I can. So this is a crosser done in atomic planes. So my right-hand poi, that is the orange one, is in wheel plane. My yellow poi is in wall plane. This is really funky and kind of difficult because they would clash into each other and tangle, but yeah, what I would honestly say is once you got a crosser down, pick one hand that you're going to stick into wheel plane, and that'll turn into your atomic crosser right there. Yeah, that would do it. That would do it. Also, I think, yeah, we are getting, we are past the hour, friends, so I'm going to answer the questions that are currently in the queue, and then I'm going to wrap things up for the night because I need to eat. Roka says, I have to go. Thank you so much for your opinions, and it was fun talking to you, Drex. Thank you. It was fun talking to you, too. You are always welcome in Lithuania, and you are the teacher of Lithuanian flow artists. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that, Rokas. Logan asks, do you host in-person poi classes? I host in-person private lessons, but not in-person group classes. I've just found that it's too difficult to get access to studio space in the DC area. Maybe at some point I'll go back to doing in-person classes. I would certainly like to, but yeah, the demand just wasn't there last time I tried. So yeah. Again, I can't afford to take losses on classes. I don't know how to read that name. Asks how to practice split time outward butterfly flow. Split time outward butterfly flow? I mean, if I'm understanding your question correctly, I think you just work on getting down a bunch of outward butterfly-based poi tricks and work on the transitions between them. Like, if you keep timing and direction consistent, it's usually pretty easy to flow between poi tricks that use the same timing and direction on stuff. I'm sorry, I would give you a longer answer than that, but I've already stayed on later than I intended to. So I do need to wrap things up because I am very hungry at this point. But thank you everybody for your wonderful questions tonight, and thank you especially to Eileen for your super chat. I really, really appreciate it. Jillian says, thank you for explaining this. I really appreciate all your knowledge about different tricks. I am sorry for putting you on the spot for this trick. It's okay, it happens. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up then, friends. Thank you all so much for joining me this evening. I hope you had a great time, and I hope you join me for my next impromptu live stream in March. Take care, and yeah, be safe out there, friends. I will see you soon, and yeah, if you enjoyed this video or any of the videos on my channel, you're not already, please go check out my Patreon at patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi. I have live stream classes that are available right now over on crowdcast.io/DrexFactorPoi that you can tune into from anywhere in the world. Yeah, so thank you all for joining me. Take care and be good. I'll see you soon, friends. Peace.